Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Jones and I'm broadcasting today from my home here in Greenfield, Massachusetts. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Stephen R. Covey was a professor at Brigham Young University. He wrote several books. The most acclaimed was the one that I read, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He also had quite a bit of education. He went to the University of Utah, had degrees from University of Utah, BYU, and Harvard Business School. Went on to teaching, and once he was finished up with that, he started going around teaching basically his books that he had written at seminars, counseling people and things of that nature, trying to spread the word of the things that he had learned and things that he was trying to teach. He even was invited by President Clinton during his presidency to give him some counsel over how to lead, really. Because Stephen's books cover business, ethics, everyday relationships, things of that nature, really trying to move all that stuff forward. So I read the book, and as I was reading through the book, I was trying to come up with a thesis of what Stephen was trying to tell us. And really what I came up with at the end of the book was that he was trying to tell us that there's an opportunity in every interaction that we have, that we can find happiness in these interactions and the interactions with others. And that's really what he was trying to teach people, was how to find that happiness through these 7 habits that he listed in this book. So he opens up the book. He doesn't go right into the habits. He starts out by talking about paradigms and these principles and values by which we live our lives. And he said we have to change how we look at ourselves, how we look at ourselves and how we look at the world. We've been pre-programmed to kind of look at things in a certain way, and we've been taught that we need to look at it in a certain way. And he said we really need to change how we're doing that. He also went on to talk about character ethics. Something he said we've kind of lost touch with, and he named out quite a few of these: integrity, humility, fidelity, temperance, courage, justice, patience, industry, simplicity, modesty, and the golden rule of treating others as you would like to be treated. And he said this has kind of been on a decline over the years, and people really don't hold these values as strongly as they used to, and that is a downfall of some people. He talked about the paradigm as a model, a reference, a theory, an explanation, and he kind of related principles and values to maps. And he talked about principles are maps of an area. And within these maps of an area, you have values, and values are kind of maps within these areas. And he said that you have to choose these maps wisely. You can't just go down any old path. You have to think about where you're going. And he also said we're very subjective. We think we're objective people, and we can really open our mind and see differences in people and value them, but we really, as a population as a whole, we really don't. We're very subjective. We're very set in how we look at things. And he said we're really preconditioned to these things, and we need to change it. You have to change how you look at the world. And he called this a paradigm shift. And you break with tradition of how you've been conditioned to think. You really throw out all the things that, or some of the things that you've been conditioned to think, and try to take a different approach. It's almost like the definition of insanity. People continue to do the same things thinking that they're going to get a different result, and that's really what he was trying to say in the book, I think, in that you have to take a different approach. If it's not working, continue to do the same thing and think the same way, it's just going to result in more misery or whatever the problem is. You have to change how you're thinking. And he said principles are our building blocks. They're like lighthouses. They don't move. They're unchanging. These large maps of our principles are who we are. And in order to change a principle, it's nearly impossible. Once you're set on a principle, It's a way by which you live your life. You really have to change your values. And he said we also try to look for the shortcuts. We try to find short ways of doing things, but he said you can't really do that in life because you're going to reap what you sow. You put in the work, you will get the product. If you try to find a shortcut, you're going to shortchange your product. And he said we do that a lot in today's world as well. And one of the biggest things he kind of talked throughout the book is the problem isn't the problem. It's how you're looking at the problem. You have to look from the inside out. You have to do a lot of self-reflection because people want to blame everything around them for their problems. They don't want to take any responsibility for themselves. They want to blame something else for what's wrong in their life. And he really said that you need to work from the inside out. Look at yourself and see how that affects the situation. Don't look from the outside in and look at the situation and how that affects you. He had a quote towards the end of this chapter, kind of prefacing all the habits. And it said, sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. He said changing habits takes a lot of energy. And you can cut that off at the pass if you make good decisions whenever you're sowing that thought. Because that thought trickles down into your destiny, into who you are. So if you start from the very beginning and you start this process from the very beginning, then it's not going to take you so much energy to change mid-course. He also talked about production capability and production. Now, production is your product. Production is what you get out of the situation. Production capability is what you have the potential to reap from that situation. And he had a really good story to put this into perspective. He talked about a farmer who had a golden egg laying goose. This goose laid golden eggs for him. And the farmer became very rich because of these golden eggs. So every day he'd go out, he'd harvest the egg, and he would take it, cash it in, and he would have all this money. Well, over time, the farmer became very greedy. And he decided that he was going to kill the goose, open it up, and go and grab all the eggs and have immediate satisfaction of all the eggs instead of waiting for them day by day. So he went out in the yard, grabbed the goose, slaughtered it, opened it up, and found no eggs.